Hey everybody, and welcome to the Dad Pod, where we talk about all things dad. I'm your host, Zach Waite, and on this week's episode, I'll be sitting down with my good friend Trey. We'll be discussing our adventures we had in Ireland and Scotland, and later Trey's going to share his advice for fathers and how we can share the responsibility of parenting with our spouse and taking time with our kids any chance we get. So, sit back and hope you enjoy the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dad Pod. On this week's episode, I'm going to sit down with one of my friends, Trey McDonald. Here's a shocker for you. He is not from Logandale, Nevada. I know. All my guests that I've had on the show have been from my hometown. But actually, Trey, me and him kind of met after, I guess, my hometown. We met later. We'll talk about that in the show, but I just want to welcome Trey. Trey, you want to say hi to everybody?
Yeah, hey.
Perfect. So usually like how we do my show, we're just going to start. Trey's going to tell us a little bit about himself. He's going to just go through his biography, kind of where he grew up, where he's from, kind of his home life situation, so we can kind of get an idea. Once Trey tells us all of his great accomplishments that he's done in life, we're going to move on to one of our favorite parts of the show is sharing that first memory that he had of me and I guess his first thoughts he thought of me when he first met me, which is always fun to hear. I'm going to tell him my favorite memories of us and just kind of our friendship and going from there. And so we're just going to start with that. So Trey, we're going to turn the time over to you. Do you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and who you are?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I grew up in small town Utah. It's called Blanding. I went to San Juan High.
Okay, so if you're not from Utah and you're not from that area, what would you say is the closest thing that people can know where Blanding, Utah is? Because it's kind of bland, if you know what I mean.
Yes, fair. Most people recognize Moab, and
Gotcha.
we're about another hour and a half south of Moab. So
Okay.
we're right on the border of Arizona and Colorado and New Mexico, right there by the Four Corners.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're down there in Navajo country, right? Down there by the big reservation.
Right on the border with the reservation.
Gotcha. And then you have like all the wonderful, awesome parks with like Moab, the Arches, and was it Canyonland or
Yep,
what are the big?
Canyonlands.
Yeah.
Canyonlands. We got Access Designs, Arches
National
Park.
and the monument, whatever National Monument Park or whatever down there.
Yeah.
So yeah. So if you don't know where Blanding, Utah is, that's kind of where it's at. I think the county's called San Juan. So that's kind of where he went. Blue and gold, right? You were blue and gold.
I may not have been a pirate, but I was blue and gold still.
For those who don't know, my hometown team was blue and gold, and so this is why me and Trey connected, because I was like, he's from a small town, I'm from a small town, both had the same colors. He just was a horse. That was lame, but it's fine. I'll forgive him. So, sorry. Well, Trey, continue.
It's a Bronco. Anyways,
it's cool, I guess.
Nah, so I grew up in small town Utah. Same like you. There's not a ton to do here, except for four-wheel, hike, camp, go outside, do random stuff.
There you go.
So did a lot of that as growing up. A lot of camp outs in the middle of freaking nowhere on a four-wheeler with a bunch of my friends, throwing whatever we could in a fire and surviving somehow. Ended up going to high school, San Juan, and did sports, did football, baseball.
Cool. What kind of sports did you do?
Sorry,
gotcha. And also, oh, sorry. I was just going to say also, for those who don't know, Trey was the prom king. So we have that down there. So everyone from San Juan, just remember this is your prom king speaking. What year was that? 2011?
Yes, it was.
That's one of my memories. I jumped the gun, but we'll keep going. So you're from
No,
Blanding. You grew up in a small town. Are you how many is in your family? What was your family life kind of like?
so my dad's he's a construction worker, ran his own construction business from the time that I can remember. Mom is a teacher. She teaches deaf students and blind students for the kind of the school district here.
That's cool.
I'm the oldest. I got a little sister who's 5 years younger than me, and then a little brother who's 6 years younger than me, and that's it.
Gotcha. So kind of a nice small knitted family from there down in southern Utah.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, you want to tell us anything else? What happened
I
after high school? What happened? Is that just
I
or
mean,
high school to now or?
no, I mean, I don't know, man. I had a year between graduation and leaving on my mission, so I hung out around town and just worked construction and went to college, and then I took
Gotcha.
off to Scotland and Ireland, which was the complete opposite environment as where I live. So
Where'd you go to college?
it was UVU extension at that point.
Okay,
No, I'm not sure. It's changed different colleges, but it's just an extension campus.
gotcha. Okay, that's just down there in like Blanding or
Yeah,
okay, cool. So you left on your mission. You went to Scotland and Ireland. What was that like? Other than being
it was a
completely
whole nother
different.
world. Yeah, it was a whole nother world. How great it was I couldn't wrap my head around it. I remember my last Sunday here before I left, everyone was talking about how they needed to do some certain fast or prayers and stuff because we were
Uh,
in such a bad drought that nothing could grow.
yeah.
And so I leave in the middle of a drought desert where we have no water, no one can even water their lawns. And when I fly in to Scotland and Ireland and England, it's just pouring rain, and it just seemed like it never stopped. And it was just the weirdest thing to me to see so much water all the time.
Yeah. So
Uh,
how long were you in? I guess you said England and Scotland and Ireland. How long were you there?
England, I was there for a month or so, and then jumped over to Scotland, and I was in Scotland for a year, and then a year in Ireland between the Republic and Northern.
Gotcha. So then what happened after that? After you came home, I'm assuming because you're back in Utah, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm back in Utah. I'm a cop now.
Oof,
So I came home and I had no idea what the freak I was gonna do. So I just lived with my parents for a little while. Uh, and
living the
then I
dream.
gave up on finding anyone in my small town to marry, and so moved away. And I tried multiple jobs. I tried being a salesman. I was horrible at it. I
You were a
tried.
salesman. Where were you a salesman at?
It's called ClearLink. It's a
Oh,
phone
okay.
company. It was horrible.
You should have just came up to Idaho with me because we would have just freaking ran that town. So,
I really should have. I don't know what happened. I I question that all the time because so this job I was so bad at it that they kept
huh?
pulling me in for extra training, and then finally the manager was just like, "Dude, you got to figure this out or you're gone. We don't fire people, but we're about to fire you." And then at that point, I had just finished an EMT course, so I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I'll just quit and I'll just go around and be like an EMT on an ambulance. And he's like, "All right, I think you'll be better at that. See ya." So,
That's funny.
so I worked on that, and then I ran on up in the Salt Lake area. They do a firefighter slash EMT. They just all run together,
Yeah.
and so I did that for a little while. That was a lot of fun. That's about the time that I realized that I was really sick of waiting for like the scene to be secure before I could go help someone.
Gotcha.
And so I figured, you know what, I'm just gonna be a cop so that I can go and get in there
Yeah.
instead of sitting out here waiting. Uh, but before I did that, I ended up having to work for a credit union for a little while, tried a youth detention center for a while, and then when I finally did get a job with what was actually a sheriff's office,
Uh,
they had hired someone else before me, and this guy was supposed to be going to the academy like January 5th or something like that. and they ended up calling me because that guy bailed. They called me 5 days before the academy started, and they're like, "Hey, if you still want this job, it's yours, but you have to have everything ready, and you're gonna have to leave for like 4 months here in
Oh my
5 days."
god.
So I got that while I was on like a lunch break at my credit union job. So I'm like, "Yeah, sounds good, thanks." Hung up. I walked right into my manager and I was like, "Hey, I got a
I'm
job at
gone.
the sheriff's office. I'm just gonna bail right now. Uh, See ya. Good luck." And just left.
Was that up in Salt Lake or was that down in your hometown?
That was down in my hometown.
Jeez. Now you're like, I'm the officer that bailed on you. You're welcome. You can count on me, though. You can count on me. Like,
Trust me, you can trust me. I will back you up. Yeah. Luckily, I had a pretty good relationship with them, so they were all good with it.
that's
But
good.
yeah, it was pretty wild. Went through the academy, worked at a jail for a while, for a few years, and then finally got a spot on the road, and now I'm a road cop for about 3 years now.
Yeah,
It's been
pulling
pretty
everyone
crazy.
over, writing them tickets, huh? The true hero.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just part of the job.
Yeah, that's good. Well, we appreciate your service. I know it's not an easy job, but we do appreciate putting your life out there. Um, Anything else you want to share about your biography? Anything you accomplished or anything? I mean, you want to tell me you're a dad? I mean, it is a dad pod show, so like any of that.
Tell you about my dad or how I became a
No,
dad.
you're a dad, aren't you?
Yes, I'm a dad.
Okay. How many kids do you have?
I'm, I only have one. I'm really new to this experience, so
Okay.
when it comes to as far as giving suggestions and whatnot, I feel very inexperienced. My kid turns 1 next week,
There you
so
go. Yeah,
oh,
but
biggest announcement.
you got
My
like
kid just started walking today.
what?
My kid just started walking today.
Nice, dude. That's a great
Yeah.
step.
Yep.
That's awesome. Did
I
you
was
get a
pretty
video?
excited. I didn't get a video.
What? So it's not
We were
real.
just out. We were
Gotcha.
just outside playing, and
It's not real unless you get the video.
fine. All right. All right. See, that's one of those things I just didn't know. I didn't know how to be recorded.
I'm just kidding. That's good, man. That's exciting. Our first kid, she didn't walk till like 15, 18 months. Don't quote me on that. Brady would know more. But yeah, like she was like, carry me, slave. I don't want to use my legs. And I was like, okay, cool. And then my
Yeah.
son, he, I think about 8 or 9 months, he was like, yeah, I'm running. Like, forget you. And I was like, okay, like, what is that? So I had like really prolonged, and then I had like 8 months. I'm like standing, I'm walking. Like his first steps, he was like eating a chip and like walking. I was like, who is this kid? Like, he's already got it down. So
That's awesome.
those are exciting moments. So that's awesome, dude.
Definitely.
So we'll talk more about that down the road, but um, yeah, me and Trey obviously you probably connected the dots. We met on our missions, and so for those who don't know, members of our church volunteer to serve a 2-year service mission. We are the guys that go in suits and knock on your doors, and I don't think they knock on doors now because of COVID, but back in our day, Trey and I would go knock on doors and teach people about Jesus Christ. And we're going to go into that new segment of the first time that Trey met me, his first memory that he has of me, or couple memories. I don't know what you want to do or what you have planned, but I'm going to turn that time over. Just paint the picture, paint the scene, okay? When did you meet me? What was going down? What was the air like? Was it raining? Like,
I'm not sure I remember that much detail, but I'll tell you right now, I knew about you before I actually met you. So
what?
yeah,
How did you?
I'm in
What?
I'm in a
Okay.
different area. I'm up in Scotland, right?
Yeah.
And I find out that I'm heading to Ireland.
What
I'm
area were
heading
you
to
in before
Airdrie.
you? Okay, you're in Airdrie. Okay, so that's over by
Airdrie.
Glasgow. For those who don't know,
Yeah. So I was down there, and then I went down to. I first heard you about you in Airdrie,
from who?
and then I went. And then I went down to Dumfries. I don't even remember. It was at like some zone conference or something.
I
But
didn't
I went
even.
down to
I never
down to
even
visit
served
them.
in that area, that
I
zone. I was
know.
in like Perth. So how the frick did you hear about me?
So get this. When I found out when I was leaving Scotland and going to Ireland, everyone was like, "Dude, you got to watch out for other weight." And I was like, "Why?" They're like, "That dude is crazy. He will make you cry. He will be right up in your face." And I'm sitting there, I'm like, "What the heck? I hope I'm not. I hope I'm not like in the same district as a bunch.
Who
We got the
who's saying that I would make you cry? Who's saying this?
I don't even remember. I just remember thinking like, man, I hope I'm not in that guy's district because
And
that dude sounds intense. And then sure enough, I get down there and you're my district leader, and
that's
yeah,
right. Yeah, but guess who my companion was?
who was your companion at the time?
It was other Sutherland. He was your
Yeah,
companion, so you were
yes,
like
yes.
excited to see other Sutherland and reunite and everything.
I was excited to see him. I was a little scared of you at first, though. That was before I even knew
Why?
you.
Just believing all the gossip out there. I guess I'm
I did,
scary.
I did. But I mean, hey, I mean, the first time I saw you, I could tell you were definitely intense, but I didn't see how you would make anyone cry.
Okay.
That threw me for a loop.
Well, then you got to know me and you saw how I made people cry. But that's a different story. So like why what explain to me what do you mean by like intense? Like what was so intense? I mean, I'm sure if those people listening who grew up with me, I think they'd probably say the same thing, but
Yes, yes, they
I've
would.
always wanted to know this because people are like, "You're just super intense," and I'm like, "With what? Like, what is your definition of intense?"
I, dude, you're a ball of energy.
Okay.
Like you come across and you're like, "Hey, what's up? How's it going? I'm Zach. Nice to meet you. Hey, we're gonna go this way. You want to come with us? I don't know who you are, but hey, we're gonna go eat here. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go." I'm like, "Holy cow! This guy's ready to roll. Let's go." It was it was a good time.
But that was the first time you were in Northern Ireland. So,
Yes.
like, let's explain Northern Ireland to our people listening who don't know what Northern Ireland is like or haven't been there. Because I'm hoping people from our mission listen to this because this is good stuff. But it's okay if they don't. That's fine. It's predominantly for dads. So let's have you kind of explain. So I was in Portadown, Northern Ireland. You were in Lisburn.
Yes.
And so for those who are kind of have no clue about Northern Ireland, Lisburn's what about 30 minutes outside Belfast? It's
Yeah.
about 30 minutes. And then Portadown is another 45, I would say, outside of Belfast. Belfast is the capital of Northern Ireland.
That's all
Um,
train rides as well.
yeah, those are all train rides. The car is probably faster because you don't have to stop.
Yeah.
And Portadown is down in the country, and so you're about like 30 minutes north. I guess a bus ride 30 minutes north of County Armagh. Armagh is where St. Patrick was from. We had the cathedrals out there. That town sucked. It was all hills. It was just freaking walking up hills the whole effing time. But Portadown had like these three little towns. You had Portadown, you had Craigavon, and then you had Lurgan. And like, yeah, I'm gonna Trey. Can you explain Northern Ireland? I mean, it's really hard to explain. You just
Yeah.
oh,
I don't really know how to do it either. I mean, you got to take into account that Northern Ireland is it's on the island of Ireland, right?
yeah,
But it's not part of the Republic of Ireland. So there's still all that conflict between who owns the Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland or the UK. And so you just constantly have that battle going on, and you can definitely see that play a part in the people there because
yeah,
they are also very intense about
yes,
certain topics.
yeah. So like the history of Northern Ireland, basically, I think it's is it 7 or 9 counties? I think it's seven. There's seven
Yeah.
counties up in Northern Ireland, and basically what 1400s, I don't even know, don't quote me on this, those who are all know the history buff. Basically in the 1400s is what I'm going to shoot for. It was the Battle of the Boyne, which basically the Protestant king, I think King William, beat back the Catholics and therefore introduce like Protestantism in the country. And those 7 top counties took like they just loved it. They're like, yeah, like I can practice my religion, the freedom. And then you just go through years and years of battling back and forth. We're won, we're departed, and then England's kind of coming over and trying to like take over Ireland. And so they think all of Ireland is Catholic, so we got to beat the Catholic out of them. And the way they did that was like, let's put some like Scots that are strong, like Protestant in the North counties, and so they become the Ulster Scots. So you just get this huge mixing thing, and it's just freaking nuts, right? And so you got these years of like just brewing over, and I think in 1922 they had like a civil war, and I think the Republic of Ireland finally broke off from England, but the 7 counties of Northern Ireland were like, no, we're staying, like we're still part of United Kingdom. So this place is just getting, I mean, it's just war. I mean, I think um, a good, I guess, myth, right, is like the top province of Ireland is called Ulster, and the Ulster province is known for fighting. And I think that's completely true because holy cow, that place was always just like it's a riot.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I can't even count the many times the train got stopped or the buses got stopped for some kind of bomb threat,
Yeah.
and you're just like, well, all right, I guess I'll just wait here until the bomb goes off or they take care of it, and you're just stuck there. I
On a
Or
train.
how many times you go around a corner and all of a sudden there's just a line of dudes with like automatic guns and they're just
Hmm.
like, nope, turn around and leave. And you're like, I gotta go that way to get back home. They're like, nope, not
Yeah.
today. Oh, frick.
You're like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And like it's just crazy. I mean, I love the people of Northern Ireland.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
and I think me and Trey were talking a couple weeks ago, and I think like Trey would probably agree with me. Like that's my people. Like that's my stuff, man. Like the like organized chaos is like that's the best way to say it. It's like complete and utter chaos, but it's organized. Somehow in that chaos, there's this beauty of like we're organized. We're just like people know their roles in the chaos of like the rioting, and you're just kind of like okay. And so from an outsider, you're looking at this like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Like people are throwing bricks, cops are spraying people down, and there's a wall, and then like the Motel cocktail bombs come out or whatever, and you're just like, what the? And then, but everyone there is like, that's just a normal day, like we're just doing our thing, and everything, and they laugh and they're happy and they're always cheery, and the people there, like to me, Northern Ireland, their people just I mean, they just really taught me to just like, no matter what kind of crap comes your way, you can always be happy. You can just be happy. So, but anyway, so yeah, so this place is just freaking nuts, right? I get put in Portadown, Northern Ireland. I had already been there, what? I think 2 moves, so like 12 weeks before you.
Yes.
And for those who don't know, I was there about around a year. My first companion there, he was like I was his last companion. It was Elder Johnson. And so basically, in the missionary terms, the way elders kind of function and work, okay, you would kind of say the lingo was like, I killed him. I was his last companion. And I sent him home, right? Well, then it turned around and I get Elder Sutherland, who's going home in 2 moves. So I had a double kill. So, like, this is probably where a lot of people thought, man, he's freaking intense. Like, this guy is freaking nuts, because they're like, he had back to back kills in the mission. By the way, I'm completely clueless because I'm in freaking Portadown, Northern Ireland, trying to understand what the madness is going on. Right? I think the first day I showed up, they were protesting, and the whole road was blocked, and we had to hop on the bus, and the bus just sat there for like an hour, and I was like, I'm just gonna get off the bus because I'm gonna walk. What's the point of this? And so like that was my first day, and you're just kind of like, dude, what? Where am I? And so I think anyways, so that's kind of like the picture. So just imagine organized chaos. That's the best way to put it, right? Just as
Yeah. Yep.
so loads of stories. So anyways, back to, I'm down here in Porterdown, and they put me in the blood triangle. Okay, let me explain to you the blood triangle. Okay, so you got the people in Belfast that are like, we're crazy and we're gonna do things, but we're kind of live in a city, so we don't want to get too crazy, right? And then you kind of go out to where Trey lives in Lisburn, where it's like we're kind of city, but we're in the suburbs, and so we can get a little bit more wild because we have a lot of space. And then you get down to Porterdown, and you're touching the border of Northern Ireland, or you're touching the Republic of Ireland, and you get out there with the country people, like people that are like die hard, like I'll burn your house if you're Protestant, or whatever. Like, and I was stuck there for like 7.5 months of my mission. That was the longest place I was at, and obviously, for those who don't know, I'm a redhead, so like I guess the mission president thought I was just a great asset because they're like, he looks like him, he's got the hair, he's picking up the accent. We'll just leave him there forever. Like, just let him like roam around. I mean, in this town, you literally had the railroad tracks split the the town. Like, you'd be on one side of the railroad tracks, all Catholic. You go on the other side, completely Protestant. And like I had never seen anything like that. I mean, like you heard that in like growing up in like US history about like the segregation era. But like to experience it that live, it was like, what? And then it was over religion, which was like really confusing to me because they'd be like, he's Catholic. And I'm like, how the heck can you tell he's Catholic? Like, just a guy walking on the street. I have, like, you have no clue, like, but they knew, man. I tell you, they knew. And so this is kind of where we're at. And so Trey comes in, and he just, poor guy, he had no clue what was going on because he'd been in Scotland this whole like first year of his mission. And there's a saying in Ireland when you're on your mission, like they'd like just remember the five, elder, like you are in Ireland, like you know, remember you're in Ireland or whatever. And so that just basically was like whatever goes goes, like you just freaking ride it out, right? And so I think my first impression of Trey was one, Elder Sutherland was super excited to see you, and then two, um, he was just pretty chill. Like, I think everyone kind of knows Trey. He's just a pretty chill guy. So being a cop's probably like the best profession for him because he's like, hey man, it's me. So you got like wild, like freaking chaotic psycho me over here, like just like flipping out, and then they got like cool McCool Trey right here, just like this place is nuts, and that was all like would rally him up, right? You know. But Trey, is there any other like memories you want to share with people? Kind of like that
Oh yeah,
first
I
couple of
mean,
times of like getting to know me and kind of just that area we were in.
yeah, I mean, it- I don't remember how long ago we were talking on the phone, but the time that one of my first transfers down to your area with you, we get off the bus and Brother Curie just comes
Oh,
flipping around out on the road, and he's in the opposite lane on like this highway. He's bumping music, and like his little kid rolls open the side door of the minivan and is like crawling over the seats, and he's like,
yeah.
"Get in, losers!" And I'm like, "What is happening?" He's on the wrong side of the road, flipping U-turns out in the middle of this highway, and I'm like, "What's happening?" I mean, that right there is my very first memory of you every time. As soon as I think of you, I just think of like, what in the world is going on?
Dude,
And that
that
just
was
explains your area as well. That's just Porter down right there.
that just was ported down, man.
Yeah.
That's just the way it was. Yeah. Yeah. So
And
for
then
those who don't know, when you're on a mission, you're with a companion, but then you can do exchanges, so you kind of get a break from your companion. And so Trey and I would sometimes get to go on exchanges, and that was one of our first ones where like we went to Belfast, and then we had a big like meeting, and then we came back, and we get out of the train, and yeah, Brother Carey, just like you just see this minivan like bolting across the wrong side of the road on the highway, and then like he has his sunglasses on, mind you. Brother Carey has his sunglasses on, and he's in a minivan with like a full load of kids, and the kid swings the door open and get in, losers. It's like okay, you know, and I don't skip a beat. I feel like I just like run, yeah, like jump right in, and Trey's just sitting there like, dude, where am I? Like, Where the frick am I?
Yeah, no, you jumped right in, and I was still stuck there in like shock, like what is happening? And so I like crawl in, and they slam the door, and he takes off, and we're driving down the wrong side of the road for a while. And then finally he does like another like just crosses the median where the kids would be able to
But
like
it was
go.
technically the right side of the road for us, but over there it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. And then like all of his kids are in the back behind us just like going crazy, and you're like wrestling with them, and I'm like sitting here like I don't know what to do. I feel really out of place right now. I don't know.
Yeah, I love the Kiris.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
the
But
Kiris were.
anyways,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna go on to another memory, but if you want to talk about the
Yeah.
Curies first.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna for the Curies were like my adopted Irish family. I don't know how else to put it, right? So brother Curie and sister Curie. Sister Curie was a redhead. They had what, two or three redheads? I think they had three. Yeah, they had three, and I was a redhead. And anytime we went on like, so on your mission you have a P day, which is a prep day, just kind of like relaxed day. You can kind of just can't get too crazy, as a missionary, but like you can just go and play basically and kind of just relax. And every time I'd go and hang out with the Curies on that day, everyone just thought I was the older brother because I just fit right in. I had like people would say I had like the same sense of humor as they did and everything. And so like I always have a special place in my heart for the Curies, but that's all I was gonna say about that.
Yeah. And then my second memory that I think about you every time is over the 12th when they shut us down. You
Uh
didn't want to stay the night in Porter because it's freaking wild. So you came up and you stayed with us for 2 days where we couldn't really leave our flat.
yeah.
And I just remember being stuck in our flat for 2 days with you and our companions and just how wild that got. I mean, we had like a ping pong table in there. We were we were wrestling around. We broke so much stuff. It it was just a group of four kids that age should not be
Yeah.
stuck inside a flat for 2 days. And then
hmm
after all that, we leave in the morning that we can finally leave, that we're allowed to get back out, right? We leave, and there's just that
Haze.
smoky haze just over the whole town. And it just felt like we just walked into like after a battle scene, right? Like everything was
yeah.
just really quiet, really
Beer cans
smoky,
everywhere.
beer cans everywhere. And like I'm half expecting that every step I'm gonna see a dead body laying here and laying there, and like sure enough I didn't, but that's what it felt like it was really quiet, really eerie,
yeah.
smoky, beer cans everywhere. Yeah, I mean those are some of my favorite memories with you. Those were good
Yeah, those
times.
those were good. I remember me and you were like, yeah, let's go for a run. Let's go see. Like, let's just go for it when we go to the park. And it just looks like a battlefield. You just see this haze, and you're like, is there dead bodies out there? Like, I wouldn't even be surprised. But like, yeah,
And
that
then
was
the
good. So
2 days where like that's the 12th of July when they do all these like
yeah,
giant bonfires, and it's just 2 days of absolute rioting and just craziness. And so we're not allowed to leave to go get involved with
yeah,
all that. So we're just stuck. And so after 2 days of just crazy drinking and rioting, that's when we finally exited, and it was just war zone looking. It was pretty cool.
apocalypse just happened.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
the apocalypse just happened. We're walking out there. Like, is anyone alive? Like, yeah. I remember that because, yeah, so like the 12th of July over there in Northern Ireland is, I think it's a celebration of them winning the Battle of the Boyne. And so since the 1400s, they've been carrying on the tradition of like, let's make the giant bonfire within our city and let's march up and down and play our flutes and bagpipes. And then let's just get hammered at the pub. And so it's crazy. It's a sight to see. Um,
yeah.
I didn't see it, but like I saw the aftermath. Yeah, that was crazy. I think a couple good memories I had of you was on those exchanges and stuff. I think it was just like because Trey was from a small town and I was from a small town, and so we had a lot in common, and that was really nice. Being in a foreign country with foreign people and just not having that same background. I think I kind of missed that, and Trey was that guy for me. And so when we go on these exchanges, everyone knows how I love to talk, but we would stay up all night pillow talking, and it was just like this trade off of like I'm talking, and then I'm like, okay, I'm getting tired, and I'm gonna slow down, and then then Trey would kind of wake up and he would do all the talking and just go tell his stories, and then he would calm down, and then I would talk, and then next thing you know, it'd be like 6 a.m. and he would come over and be like, "I hate you. I am so freaking tired." And but to me, that was like, I just love that. And me and Trey are a little bit, I guess you could say, was it apostate, because we would sing country songs on the train ride home when we got stuck on the freaking train because of like a threat bomb or whatever and stuff. So, yeah, Trey was always that guy. And then he was always the guy I think I kind of just would just call, because he would just sit there and laugh at my crazy. Like, I would just be like, I don't even know what's going on. So like one of the times I'm riding home and we're getting close to the 12th of July, and people like to test the riots before the 12th of July, I guess you could say. Like, they like to get out there and test a couple riots before they actually riot real good. And anyways, we're going home from one of our meetings or one of our lessons or whatever, and one of the members is taking us home, and we're seeing all this chaos, and like the members are kind of like, "It's okay, elders, like don't worry, like it's only bad if you see a helicopter." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, cool." They drop us off, and like next thing you hear, "Coo, coo, 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 coo," and I was like, "Oh frick!" I was like, "Elder, it's a helicopter, like let's go." And then like next thing we're trying to get down our street, and there's all these armed guards, and they have like assault rifles, and they're like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I live down there." They're like, "Okay, follow us, we'll escort you." And I'm like, "Okay." So I like call Trey, and I'm like, "Dude, I don't even know what the F's going on." And like Trey's just laughing because all he can hear in the background is a freaking helicopter just like goof, 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 goof. And I'm like, "Dude, this place is freaking wild."
It
And
sounded
so
like it was right above your flat. I thought for
yeah.
sure they were
It
riding
was,
right above
dude. It was like right there. I was like, "Dude, this place is freaking crazy." Nothing happened, thank goodness. But yeah, like just had like all these crazy stories. And then I remember there was Brother Donnelly, so we can't leave without talking about Brother Donnelly. So
you. Definitely not.
okay, you want to you tell him who Brother Donnelly is. I mean, this guy is a giant of a man. He's just awesome, greatest. Like, yeah.
When I
I'll
think
let
of
you.
Brother Donnelly, I think of like the pitch perfect farmer out in the middle of nowhere, right? Like he's this big old man, burly guy. He lives out in the middle of nowhere. He lives on a farm, and when he cooks you food, he cooks you food, a lot of food. And so I remember hearing legends about him before I finally got to go, and he lived up to every bit of those legends. He is a man's man.
Yeah. So Brother Donnelly is this great Irish farmer. I think he's down from the county Cork. You can't understand him. Like if you're not around him, like see, I was there for 7 months, so I was like me and Brother Donnelly are like telepathic, like telling each other like because Brother Donnelly he liked cowboy westerns, and so me and him could talk about John Wayne, and he would like get a kick out of it because he's like, "You know what I'm talking about?" And I was like, "Yeah, Brother Donnelly, I know John Wayne. Let's talk about John Wayne." Anyways, he'd always say, "Riddle me this, elders," and he'd always give you riddles. But for Trey, I was always telling him this about Brother Donnelly, and he'd cook these meals, and I mean, they'd put you down, man. Like your stomach would be bulging, and you'd be on the ground like crying because of how much food he would feed you. And um, and I was trying to get Trey to figure out how to come. Luckily, I was the district leader. So I decided to do 2 exchanges in one moves because usually you just go like on an exchange. And I was like, you know what? It gives me some leadway in the handbook. I'm like, I'm going to do 2 exchanges. I'm going to go on exchange with Trey in his area, and then I'm going to take Trey to my area, all in one like 6 week move or whatever. And so I planned it out where I would do like weekly planning, and then after that we would do an exchange. And so that way in the morning on Friday morning I could take Trey to Brother Donnelly and we would do service whatever. And so the one thing I remember is Trey was like the first guy. It was either the first or the second, I can't remember, with other Sutherland, but other Sutherland and Trey were the only ones that I actually finished a meal at Brother Donnelly's. And I was there for 7 months, so every Friday I'm going there trying to eat these meals. I only finished like 2 of his meals because that's how much food he would cook you. So Yeah.
And then I remember after we finished that meal, he tells us to go chase his cows, and they're like up this hill. And I remember trying to climb over the fence just to get into the field, and I'm like, holy cow, I can't make it. I'm gonna die of a heart attack. There's so much food inside my stomach that I can't even breathe. And
Yeah.
anyways, we make it to the top of this hill where the cows are, and I just don't know what we're gonna do to chase him away. And
Yeah.
you just start just running after him, like, record it. I'm like, okay. You just start chasing after these cows, and you're running down this hill, and then you eat it, and they're just still running all the way down, and you're just laying there, and you're like, I'm too fat, I can't get back up. That was a good time.
Those were good times. Yeah. And then, Trey's just kind of always been there. Um, I know he's a cop and I know he's working a lot and things like that, but I just try to send Trey things all the time and he never responds. But I know, like, Trey's always like, dude, I read your stuff all the time. And I'm like, why the frick do you not message me back? You just like ghost me, like, but that's okay. I know you're busy and stuff, but like Trey's just kind of always been that good friend for my mission. We did a couple things after I tried to get him to come to BYU Idaho. He never did, but
Yeah.
and then we went to I think a Tim McGraw concert. We found some girls and we went to a Tim McGraw concert in Salt Lake. And then he was one of my best man in my wedding, and then I was one of his and his. Um, I think Trey, yeah. So, and I kept up to my reputation of being crazy because I remember going to Trey's like wedding reception or whatever. I think it was a brunch. I don't know what it was. And I think your dad came up to me and like apologized to me and my wife about like we're so sorry, we're lame, and we're not like as fun. And it's like the first time I'm meeting Trey's dad, and I'm like, what do you? I didn't say anything. I didn't say this was a terrible wedding or like eating like food was terrible. I was like, what are you talking about and everything? And then like later I talked to Trey and um yeah, Trey was like, yeah, dude, that's because I bragged about like my wedding, like your wedding for like months, and so yeah.
Dude, your wedding was a blast. I've been to a lot of weddings, and that one was the funnest one.
Yeah, well, thanks. I like try to have a lot of fun. So, was it the funnest one, or was it just funny because you were laughing at me the whole time mostly? Because I feel like
I feel
there's
like
a
that's
lot
the
of
same thing. Everything from the socks to the dancing
uh,
was just great.
uh, I remember the what do you call it? Like in our church we call him the sealer, right? And he's the guy who conducts the wedding and stuff. And he was talking to me, and then for some reason he switched over talking to my wife, and I had like no clue. And so I kept like talking to him, like I was like just sitting there, like yeah, huh, and then he was kind of like no, shut up, like I'm talking to your wife, and I was like, oh okay, like, and then I think everybody just started busting up laughing because yeah, I was just
Yeah, that was also one of the funniest ceilings that I've been part of. He literally looked at you and was like, "No, shut up."
yeah. It's like, no, shut up. I'm talking to your wife. I'm like, oh, okay, okay. like, I'm like,
That's
okay,
hilarious.
I'll stop talking. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And then
So
your brothers all got like delayed for a while because they had crazy socks or whatever, and then I
yeah,
somehow snuck in with mine.
it
It was a good time.
was a good time. It was. Yep. Yeah. So those are just some memories, some good memories we have. We'll have to talk about Scotland and Ireland, later because I think that's kind of took up most of the episode. But we're
Yeah,
gonna take a
it
break. Yeah, we're gonna take a break real fast. How do you not love talking about Scotland and Ireland, though? Come on. Especially Northern Ireland, man. Those are my people, man. That's where I belong. I remember. Okay, well, one more last thought about Northern Ireland. I just remember I had been there for so long. I could go to like Trey's area and I could like lead out his area better than he could because like I had been there for so long and I just was like a part of the chaos. I was like one with all the chaos. So I'd just be like, "No, Trey, you want to go here?" And Trey'd be like, "Whoa, like you know all the shortcuts and you know where to go."
You
and
guys
then,
leave us lost. I For the first 6 weeks that I was there, I never got to look at the map. Like
yeah,
I just wasn't allowed to. And so you'd show up, and Start walking around and going all these places, and I'd be like, dude, I don't fucking know where the freak you're even going. Like, all of a sudden we're going down this alley, and we took a left down this other alley, and then we pop up at where we're going. I'm like, man, that just cut off like 45 minutes from what I've been doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good. That was just fun. So I just yeah illustrating that, and then I think were you there when we went to Belfast for like a moves day? We had like a bunch of elders.
I'm
I
sure I
can't
was.
I can't
I
yeah
would have gone to every one.
yeah I think there was one. So like for moves day, you'd kind of all go to like Belfast, and like your companions would leave and others would stay or whatever. And so like when your companion left, you just kind of group with all the other elders, right? And you'd kind of have to wait till like the end of the day till the other ones came back from the ferry. And I think I was there one of the times. I just remember distinctly, like I was there, and I think you were there too because you were following me. And I was like, "Dude, let's go do this. Like, let's go do this." And you're like, "Okay, I guess you know Belfast too." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I've been there like freaking 7 months. I'm here, you know." And I think we would go and like I'd turn and there'd be a pack of like elders following us. And like some of those elders like literally lived in Belfast and like roamed that area, and they'd be like, "Where you going, man?" And I'm like, "You don't know this place? Like you don't know it?" Like, and I just remember that. So Northern
Oh my
Ireland, yeah, right. So it was like it just became like me. Like it was like
it was a very funny view. It's like, is you, I don't know, 20 yards in front of everybody. And then I was a little bit behind you just because I can't keep up with you. Once you get going, like I feel like I'm speed walking and I just couldn't keep up with you. And then there was like 20 elders behind us. It's just
yeah,
like this giant cloud just
wow.
wandering through Belfast, and it was a very funny view.
Well, that was yeah, that was just funny. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna take a break. We'll stop talking about Northern Ireland and stuff, but we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna turn the time back over to Trey. I'm sorry, I've talked kind of a lot because you know that's just what I do. But we'll turn the time over to you, and you can talk all you want
Okay.
about the your dad's journey, the year that you became a dad, kind of just what was going on, and you can even talk about like how you met your wife if you'd like, anything like that. And then we're gonna leave with Trey's got a little like I want to say it like life lesson or
Yeah.
triumph. Let's say let like a lesson learned or a triumph he wants to share with you. So we'll take that break and we'll come right back and we'll turn the time over to Trey. All right, we're back, and like I said, we're going to turn the time over to Trey. Trey, you want to tell us a little bit about your dad journey, kind of what was going on, and what year or whatever was going on? Because I know we've been kind of in this COVID era, and it's kind of been crazy with everything. And then after that, we could just kind of move right into that lesson learned, like you said. So
Yeah, yeah. So, I haven't talked about my wife yet, so I better I better touch on that.
it's okay. It's a
So,
dad pod, dude. It's about dads.
yeah, yeah. So, me and my wife were actually like in the same grade. I'm only 2 days older than her. So
What?
we went through school together, but at the same time, how small of a school it was, we didn't actually do anything together. So like
Okay.
I always knew who she was, she always knew who I was, but we just never
You were
never
too
hung out.
cool. He was the prom king, so he was too cool. That was another memory I have. I'm just gonna jump in real fast. On my mission, he had like you take things from home, right? And that was it Elder Stringer. Was it Elder Stringer? I
Elder
can't remember.
Stringer.
Elder Stringer had found all these pictures, and he had like prom king, and so he'd always nickname him. He's the prom king. So,
Uh,
anyways, back to your
very
story.
embarrassing
You were
moment.
prom king. You were too cool. Your wife didn't really, but you knew each other, right?
Anyways, yes. So we graduate. I go on my mission. I come back, and I'm in the middle of like that whole. I know I want to be a cop, but I'm working at like three different places. Don't know what the freak I'm doing. And one of my buddies, he's like, "Hey, I know someone that you should go on a date with. I think you guys would be great together." I'm like, all right, who?" It's like Morgan. I was like, "Well, all right. I mean, I'll
Oh,
go
all
for it.
right.
I'll
He
go
said,
for it." And so yeah, then so I asked my wife out on a date, and we started dating. And then I went to the academy, and I kind of shut things down for a while because I was gone for a few months.
"Yeah,
And then came back and it just picked up right where it left off, and ultimately we ended up getting married. It was great. All this time, she's lived like just a couple hundred yards from me. She works. She worked in all the farmlands right behind my house.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know how many times I was just looking out my backyard and probably saw her out there working or driving around, and I didn't know.
Like, oh look, it's
Um,
Morgan. Yeah.
yeah, like oh, there you go. Little did I know she was gonna be my wife. So we get married. We've been married for a few years. My kid was just born last year, January 2021. So COVID had been going on for a few months at that point. Um, Also at that point, at the police department that I work at, I was the youngest by far. Like everyone else had, like
Hmm.
10 years of experience, and then there's me.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we lose two of our guys, and now I'm just the only regular patrol officer. We have me, my sergeant, who has to do all the sergeant responsibilities, and then a chief who does all this chief stuff. So it's just left to me to like basically run every night as a cop, just doing it all by myself. And so it's just crazy, working a lot. We
Did that
started
like
hiring new people.
was that
Go ahead.
hard for like Morgan being like her first pregnancy and stuff? Do you think? Like,
Yeah, it was because I work a lot of night shifts, and so she
yeah,
had every night alone
yeah,
until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning until I got home.
yeah,
So it was really hard on her. She stayed awake a lot of nights between just being sick and sore or
yeah,
scared for whatever reason. So there's a lot of stress on me, a lot of stress on her. We start hiring new guys, and then I'm the one that has to train them. I barely have a year experience, and I'm supposed to be training these guys in the middle of COVID where we have a lot more restrictions, and so I can't take them through the same scenarios that I went through,
yeah,
and I'm still trying to teach them these lessons, and so it's a wild time all through the pregnancy, just trying to teach
dude, it's
new
crazy.
officers when I don't know what the freak I'm doing,
Yeah,
and through COVID and stressful, we're staying up all night. Anyways, finally gets to the point that it's the due date, right? And I'm
yeah,
working, of course. And so it's just basically like I'm gonna be working until you call me and you think that you're going into labor, and then I'm coming home. And as far as
yeah.
I care, we're gonna drive to the next town, which is the hospital that we go to, 30
Okay.
minutes away. We're gonna go in my cop car. Like if it's injured, I'm just gonna turn on the lights and I'm gonna go. And so I go the whole shift. She doesn't call. I get home at like 1 o'clock. It was midnight. I get home at
Yeah.
midnight. She's sitting on the couch, just like munching on some snacks or something. She's like, "Well, I mean, I felt like a little bit of pain, but I don't know." All right. And so I like start taking out this logbook, and you know how they tell you to like track down like the contractions and the time in between.
I wasn't taught that, but yeah, sure.
Well, I was told like time the contractions, and once you get into like
I
five to
think
3 minutes,
I think
then
Brady did
then
that,
then
but
it's better.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, you're a
Well,
better
I'm the
man
one
than
that
I
was
was.
I'm the one that was like freaking out. My wife's like, "Yeah, yeah, like it kind of hurts, whatever." And I'm like, "Tell me when it hurts and when it stops." And I'm like logging it down, right? And she's like, "Well, they're starting to get a little worse." And so I call the hospital. I'm like, "Hey, this is what's going on." They're like, "Hey, with their first one, like she's probably feeling it a little worse than others, so probably don't worry about it unless it gets really bad. But ultimately, if you want, you can just come in."
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Oh, all right." You made me feel dumb for being worried. I hung up. And then it just gets worse and worse. And so I'm like, you know what? I don't even care. Let's just go. I'd rather be safe than sorry. Well,
Yeah.
on the way there, because it's a 30-minute drive, it's getting worse and
Uh-huh.
worse. We get there, and they get there, and everyone's just being super calm. They're like, it's like their first present pregnancy. It's probably nothing. Like she probably
Yeah.
still has hours. They check her and she's fully dilated already. They're like, all of a sudden the whole just environment of the whole hospital just like shifted and just like, holy crap. Actually, you know what? You cannot push. Don't. The doctor's not even here. The doctor's on call. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
all right. Like, and so they're calling the doctor. The doctor that's on call decided to take vacation and not tell anybody. So
Oh my
there's like,
gosh.
and they're calling him. He finally answers. He's like, oh no, like I'm halfway across the country on a family vacation.
Oh my
And so they're
gosh.
call another doctor, call another doctor. the other doctor gets in. He just has barely enough time to just like throw on one of those giant capes, but he's still dressed like in these clothes like that he was sleeping in.
His PJs.
Yeah, and so he like throws on this gown thing, and then it's like go time. Like kid is coming, right? And
So
I'm
what are
sitting
you
there,
doing all this time? Are you just sitting there like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah. I'm just sitting there in the corner, like letting these nurses and everybody just kind of like running around. I'm like, all right, like I'm here if anyone needs help, but
yeah.
otherwise I'm just gonna stand here and be awkward.
Excuse me.
And
Yeah.
then finally, when it starts going, I can't remember if it was you or one of your friends, like you were saying you're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and you were pulling on the leg and whatnot.
I don't know. I was
And
like bench pressing my wife. I had to like crack her because like our kid wouldn't come out, and they like the nurses were on top like pushing and everything, and it was like, dude, like she's not coming, and they're like, you need to lift her, and I was like, okay, and I'd be like, like bench, like I don't know, it's not really bench pressing, but like basically picking up my wife and like crushing her. So
yeah, no, like in wrestling, it's called the cradle, right? You're
yeah,
grabbing her head and her leg, and you're like pushing them together and trying to get
yeah,
her
yeah,
to
yeah,
move.
yeah. There you go, cradle. It's a
Yeah,
better way.
yeah. So like everything goes super smooth until that last little bit. We didn't know how big my freaking kid was. Literally the day before, the doctor was looking at ultrasounds and kind of
Huh?
feeling, and he's like, "Yeah, maybe like a 6 pound baby, maybe 5 ish is what his guess was." And so everything goes super smooth until the end, and then I'm sitting there and I'm like cranking on her, and everyone else is cranking on her, and finally, all of a sudden, I mean, it was like a freaking war zone. All of a sudden, it was just like boom. I mean, I don't want to get too graphic, but like
Yeah.
blood and fluids everywhere.
Oh my
And I'm like,
gosh.
what the freak just happened? And the next thing I knew, like my kid comes out and he's like, looks like a freaking toddler. He's 9 pounds, 7 ounces, like
Oh my
this
god.
monster of a baby, right? And like all the doctors and nurses are like, kind of drying him off and like giving him
Yeah.
to me, and they're all just sitting there like, holy cow, like that baby is huge. And then
Huge.
they weigh him on the initial one, and they're like, holy cow, there's no way he's that heavy. And so they
Yeah.
like bring in this other one, like this more specific one. And sure enough, it was even more than what the first one said.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways, super crazy because the kid's huge. I gotta give all props to my wife. She did all this without any pain meds. It was all completely 100% natural. She
Oh
got
my
ready.
gosh.
She was ready to go. There was no time to give her anything. She just handled it like a champ. It was amazing.
Dude, that's
Um,
awesome.
so anyways, when all that happening, all that going on, like with how loud and crazy it was, I just remember like actually seeing that kid coming out
Uh-huh.
was, I mean, you were there. You've been there.
Yep.
It was
I was like, I was
amazing.
there for yours, but I was there for mine. But
Yeah, all of a sudden, like everything just zones in, and like I black out everything else, and all of a sudden, I feel all this pressure, all this weight of responsibility, but at the same time, feeling like, yeah, you know what, this is right. This is
yeah.
gonna go good. Like I felt it all, but at the same time, I also felt strengthened. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is
That's awesome,
happening.
dude.
This is crazy, but I got this.
Yeah.
And
That's a good way of putting it, of saying like you're strengthened, because I definitely felt like that, because it's kind of interesting listening to everyone's kind of story, because I feel like, I've heard of people like trying to wait to have a kid, and I just don't think there's never a good time to have a kid. Like it's always crazy. Like you're always doing something, right? You're either in your career, you're in your school or whatever, and it's just always it's chaotic. And see, and this is kind of like, Northern Ireland was the greatest thing because there's this freaking chaos all the freaking time, and like in the chaos, like you said, you can be strengthened, right? You can just you're like, I know this is right, and I know this is good, and I'm strengthened because it doesn't take everything away, right? You still have the stress, you still have all that stuff on you, right? But it like takes, I don't know, it's kind of a weird way of saying it, but I did like what you said, because I definitely felt that was like, yeah, I can do law school. Like it's freaking hard and everything. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I have no idea what I'm gonna do as a parent. But I know it feels right, and I know I should do it, and I know that I'm gonna be strengthened.
yeah, I agree. It was just all of a sudden like I've been worried about it. I don't know what kind of dad I'm gonna be. I don't even know how to take a kid. So all of a sudden he's here, he's in my arms. I feel that pressure coming down, all the responsibility, but at the same time I'm like uplifted and like, yep,
Yeah.
whatever happens from here on, like I know I'm solid. I know I got this. And I mean, because of how the pregnancy went, my wife had to stay in the hospital for a couple more days, and so
Yeah.
and she was just totally worn out. She lost a lot of blood.
Yeah.
So I for the first 4 days, it was just me taking
Yeah.
care of like, changing all the diapers and everything, and I think that was really good for me because when I initially felt all that pressure and that responsibility,
Uh,
it was really nice to actually take action and be able to, change the diapers, take care of the kid, put him to sleep,
yeah.
swaddle him, and be able to take action. It was really good for me, and it was good.
Yeah. That's good, man. That's exciting. It's like a crazy story and everything, but I think it's good, and it's good to share it with other people because I think a lot of dads can relate to that. I think a lot of dads like we have no idea what we're doing. I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, I know exactly I have no freaking clue what I'm doing. But
Yeah,
there's something I think within us that at the same time knows what to do, if that makes sense. Like we know, like, yes, like I do know what to do. Yeah, and kudos to your wife for 10-pound baby,
yeah,
no epidural or any of that stuff, man. Oof. I think,
yeah.
yeah,
I think they said it was the second largest baby born naturally in that hospital, and as far as
jeez,
they knew in the county. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
it's crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, well, thanks for sharing your dad journey with us and all that. I hope your boy's doing well. He's kind of cutie patootie, huh? His character.
oh yeah, he's great. He'll push my buttons to the very point that I'm about to just crack and lose it, and
Uh
then he'll
huh.
just turn around and give me like a little smile or a giggle, and it's like, ah, dang it! Like, how do you
Smirk.
do that? And then
It's
I'm
the
almost so
smirk.
mad that just that little smirk can just make everything better
Uh huh.
for everything that he just did. But
Yep.
at the same time, I love the kid. He's awesome.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, hopefully he has a great first birthday. Hopefully you spoil him pretty well. Yeah, I haven't met him yet. I hope that one day we can meet up again. I'd love to meet him. I know we kind of just share videos back and forth because
Yeah.
I'm over here and you're down there. But one day we will meet up when you're not working and I'm not working, and we'll get that. But we're gonna just kind of go to that last section. Just kind of share that life lesson that you learned that you want to share with other dads, and hopefully they can find encouragement in it, and they can find some understanding, and hopefully they can relate to it. So, what's that life lesson you wanted to share with us?
So mine is so like I said, right? My wife was kind of down and out for the first couple days, so I took a lot of care of the kid.
Yeah,
And then when we came home, I needed to get back to work. And so I just kind of, once my wife was kind of back up and running and she could take care of things and her energy and strength were back, I kind of almost settled back into my old life where most of my focus was on myself and on my job
yeah,
and working on my job. And so I'd go to work all night, I'd sleep all day, I'd wake up, I'd go work out
yeah,
and take up all of my free time and then go back to work. And I had all these things that I wanted to do for myself, all my own goals, all my own focuses. And for a
mm-hmm.
while there, I'd play with the kid only when he was, when he was happy. I would only
Gotcha.
play with my boy when he's happy, when he was having a good time, when I felt like it was a good time. And then I'd leave all the other times to my wife, and I left a lot of hard times on my wife. And she had a talk with me, and I realized, and then it kind of almost reversed. It kind of almost went to like I want to correct and make up for everything that I did. So I almost went overboard. And as
Yeah,
far as any time that I was not at work, I was taking care of my kid. I was doing everything, and I wanted him, and I wanted to, make up for all what I did. And then it overbeared me, and my wife, me and my wife had another talk, and now we're finally kind of getting to the point that it's kind of leveling out. Like we figured
yeah,
out times for each of us to go and do our own thing and our own responsibilities, while at the same time sharing the time with our kid. And I think that
Yeah.
was a really good lesson for us because I see other relationships just from my coworkers and other people, my other friends, and I can see how lopsided that can be and
Yeah.
how stressed it leaves the parent or the spouse that has all the responsibility to take care of the kid. And I also see the parent that doesn't take those opportunities to watch their kid and to be with them. They lose out on that relationship that you get to build, those memories that you get to
Yeah.
make. And so the lesson I learned is one, share the responsibility, spread it across, so it just makes a much better family life. You don't
Yeah.
want your kid dealing with his parents or her parents just arguing and having resentment toward each other because they
Uh-huh.
can feel that. And then also take your opportunities. Obviously, you need to take care of yourself, but take every opportunity that you can to be with your kid and develop that relationship with them. Um, it just it's good for them. It's good for you.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Well, dude, that's awesome. I think those are a good lesson. I think we've gone through that too, and I think me and Brady are still going through that.
yeah,
And I think, and like you said, I think it's an ongoing process. So I think if you're a dad out there and you feel like you're doing one extreme to the other, like you're not alone. I've done it. I'm a kind of a all or nothing guy. So it's like I'm either like extremely over here or I'm not even gonna do it. And those are two extremes, right? And it's like you got to do some, but not all the way, so you get burned out, and you kind of have to find that balance, right? See, and my problem is when I come home and I want to play with my kids, it's usually around their bedtime. So then my wife's like, "Don't get them hyped up," and I'm like, "Let's get hyped up," and then she's like, "Ah, I fucking hate you," and then but yeah, I can even see in my parents, and I think it's okay to realize that like you guys are a team, right? You and your spouse, and there are strengths you have as a dad that your wife probably doesn't have, and vice versa, right? And so I think there were strengths that my dad had, and he knew when to kind of step in and take that role. And then there were strengths that my mom had that my dad was just kind of like, I'm gonna let her do take the lead, right? And I think that's kind of one of the strengths I'm learning with me and my wife, if that makes sense, because it is kind of hard as a dad when you work all the time and you're gone all the time because you kind of have to deal with these emotions of, well, I deal with them. I don't know if you deal with them, but sometimes I just have those emotions of guilt of like, man, I'm not spending all this time with my kids. So when I get home, I want to spend all this time with my kids. And then my kid is upset or whatever. And then I get really selfish because I'm like focused. I'm like, I'm trying to have a good time and you're making this worse. And then I get like, but then, you know, like, um, like it's not fair to my kid, right? Because he can have bad days, and just because I want to come home and have this great experience, and he's like, "Well, like I'm not ready for it," or she's not ready for it, it's just kind of just how it goes. But
yeah. And I mean, my kid's barely one, so I know I've got a lot more of those kind of ups and downs and those
yeah,
balances to come, and I know it's going to be back and forth. And I just hope that's one that I can remember is when I need help, I can rely on her and I can rest on her, but to not
yeah.
overdo it and
Well, and I
take
think
my
he also,
balance my part.
yeah. I also think you have you talked about it like you did it one way, and then you and your wife kind of talked about things, and then you did it the other way, and then okay, we got to talk about things. You know what I'm saying? I think that's kind of the key because if you stop talking and communicating, I think you are right. You kind of see those relationships where it's like this one does everything, and the other one just kind of like do my thing, and and they don't work as a team. So, but
Yeah, and I got to
I
say,
want to
one of the
go ahead.
I got one more thing that just popped
Yeah,
up in my head. One of the things that kind of really made it so that we did communicate so well about those different things is one of the advices that we were given was if you find yourself getting to that point where you're almost like keeping track of the time, like
yeah,
I have the kid for 12 hours and you only had him for I don't know 8,
yeah,
and you shipped him off to someone else to babysit. Like when you get to the point that you're counting how many diapers you change compared to your spouse, or how
Yeah.
much time you spent compared to your spouse. When you get to that point, it turns it into a really competitive thing, and it gets really negative between you and your spouse, and
Yeah.
you start having that resentment building up inside, and that's just no good. Just get it out there. As
Yeah.
hard as the conversation is, and as hard as that conversation is going to be, it's so much better getting it out and talking it out,
Yeah.
so that at the very least you're on the same page, and you know, "All right, we're on the same page. This is what we're going to do for our child. This is what we're going to do that's going to be best for them."
Yeah.
And you get it all out there and you get it all vented. And so keeping that in mind really helps to know that we need to communicate when things are going one way or the other. So
Yeah. That's true, man. Very true. Well, I want to thank you for coming on my show, and thank you for your lesson learned and sharing that with other dads. I hope other dads can take encouragement from that, and we can kind of work on that sharing the responsibility between our spouses, and take that opportunity to spend time with our kids when we get them. Even if it's for 5 or 10 minutes a day. I love being able to come home and play with my kids and kind of wrestle with them, even though my wife kind of gets mad because I'm like trying to get ready for bed. But it's like it's still it's still good to do that, because they don't really get to see me that much, and it's my little time I get to play with them. But
yeah.
as always, we're gonna end our show with leaving Trey the opportunity to pick a song for us to listen to. Hopefully, you're all collecting this and making a sweet playlist with the Dad Pod. So Trey, you want to tell us what song you're going to pick and kind of why you picked it?
Yeah. What was it?
What was it? I don't know. I was
It
waiting
was
for you to tell me.
Watching You by Rodney Atkins.
Oh yes, that's right.
I just really like that song, and it's a dad song. It's about a kid
It's
watching
true.
his dad and learning from him, and I think that's something good to keep in mind, that no matter how young they are, or how old they are, they're going to be watching you. So
Very true. Hopefully, and they always pick up the bad things, right?
yes,
Um,
yes, they do.
I know my kid throws everything, but yeah, it's a great song. We're gonna say farewell. Trey, you want to say bye, and we'll play that song as we exit.
Yeah, no, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for letting me be on the podcast, man. It's been a good time.
Thanks for joining, and we'll talk more about Ireland. If anyone wants to know more about Ireland, we got loads of stories. But yep, we'll see you next time.